And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. We're starting a little bit early today than normal. Usually we kick in about 8:15 or so, especially live on, as people will say, the Facebook. Well, Facebook's not even going to be the Facebook much longer. It'll be a totally different name. Did you know that? It's going to be called the Metaverse. Can't wait for that. Whoopie-doo. It'll just be more stuff. All right, we have the Registrar of Voters with us here this morning. We have Valerie Podva. Good morning, Val.
Good morning.
Hello, Cindy. Cindy
Hello.
Martin. And we have Jen Gauthier remote.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So, first of all, who's the leader? Is there a leader, or are all three equal?
Team effort.
Okay.
Definitely.
Cindy told me she was in charge.
Oh, you liar. Liar, pants on fire.
No, she didn't say anything. There's a lot of work, huh, Val, that goes into election day.
Oh, yes, there is.
What's the biggest hassle or the biggest pain in the neck that you have to encounter on election day?
On election day itself?
Yeah, the day before, like today. Yeah.
Well, making sure that we get all our absentee ballots back but that's not a hassle. That's just,
But it's a last minute thing,
last minute thing up until 8:00 tomorrow night. Yeah.
How about you, Jen?
Getting the lists ready. Make sure that the voting location is ready.
Okay. Cindy, anything?
That's just about it. Just
about
making
it.
sure everything's in order.
So it's pretty much everything is status quo. It's just a lot of stuff you got to do.
A lot of little details.
Got it. Okay. I'm trying to. I think right there we go. I think I'm a little better now. So Jen, how long have you been on the registrar or been a registrar?
I was appointed January 6th.
Of this year?
Yes.
Val? How long?
Town clerk or assistant or
no registrar? Or no? So you're not.
I'm not a registrar.
Oh, okay. So
I'm not a registrar. I'm a town clerk.
The town clerk works very closely with the registrars.
Okay.
Especially in election time.
Okay. See, I didn't know. I thought you were like you coordinated between the two, or
I work with them.
Okay.
The state statutes actually divide our duties in half. So the registrars are responsible for certain duties, and the town clerk is responsible for much of the other duties.
Got it. Okay. All right. See, I really don't know. I'm not trying to be like smart out. I honestly don't know. People don't know that. Well, I think they do, but they don't know squat. And I really learn a lot talking to people that come in here. I mean, I can say, "Hey Val, how you doing? Hey Cindy, what are you doing? You gonna lock the door when you leave? With a reason to ride? Yeah, okay." But when it comes to the registrars, the job, I don't really know. Just know you are. That's it. So
there's a lot to it. A lot goes into making an election.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of statutes that we have to abide by, which Jennifer is excellent on. Excuse me. Excellent on reading all of them and kind of guiding us along because of her other job. And there's just so much that goes into being a registrar as well as being a town clerk.
Got it. So tomorrow's election day, and there are going to be 2 voting locations or just one?
One.
They're going to be one. That was one voting location. And where is that going to be, Cindy?
At the Griswold High School cafeteria.
Okay. So now, Jennifer, when people come in, how's it going to work? I mean, because before in conventional elections, there's District 1, there's District 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's District 1, which is usually town hall, but is not, and District 2, which is Patchogue Town Hall.
Yeah,
correct. When COVID came around, we decided to go with one larger location because the town halls, number one, were partially closed. There wasn't enough parking and there wasn't enough space for social distancing. So we started using the high school. So it will be at the cafeteria in the high school. You'll park in the parking lot that's between the tennis court and the building. You'll come in that door, go left into the cafeteria, and then out the back door if you want to get back out to your car.
Now, do you? The last election was also in there, right?
Correct.
Correct. It was in the gymnasium.
In the gymnasium.
Right. Okay, but this is the cafeteria.
Mhm.
Correct. They school is off tomorrow. They have a teacher development day, and they are using the cafeteria for one of their programs. I mean, the gymnasium. So we'll be
gymnasium.
in the cafeteria.
Okay. Does it work out better?
It's a little closer to the parking lot. in
No,
the
but I mean, just
cafeteria.
being there, one look. I should
Yes,
clarify.
yes.
Is it better having one voting location instead of multiple?
It's one central location rather than people being inconvenienced by going to Patchogue to find out, oh, they're right on the border. Now they got to go in town and vote at the town hall. At least it's one location. So I
Yeah.
think that's a little convenient for them. It's just getting them used to going there.
Jennifer, any comments on that?
It costs us less money from the town
Mhm.
perspective to have it in
Yeah.
one location. We're only staffing and using one location, and the school is free for us to use. So that's the other piece of it that I think is important for us to recognize, is that it saves us a couple $1,000s in labor in order to have it in one location. And our town is so small. We only have about 8,000 registered voters. So to have it in two separate locations sometimes can be cumbersome and difficult. So having it in one place makes it much more efficient all the way around.
Val, do you concur? Or?
I think so. A lot of the people I still think like to go to the separate locations.
Have they given you reasons why, or why they would rather, like somebody would rather go to?
I
Is it
think because
easier?
a lot of them are used to going to the two separate locations,
Okay.
and unless they really hear from us or Facebook or whatever saying it's at
Yeah.
the cafeteria, they'll probably end up going to the two different locations.
So now the elections are still affected by COVID, correct?
Yes
Pretty
and
much.
no, because it is in the school, so we all have to wear masks.
Okay.
That is the school's request. We still have to honor the social distancing. We will still put the screens up, the shields. We're concerned. We want to protect our workers as well as protect our citizens.
Okay.
And it is important to note that if a voter does come in and refuses to wear a mask, we will do our best to accommodate them. No voter will be turned away if they do not wear a mask. They will not be disenfranchised.
So what do you do? Just let them go?
We escort them as quickly as we can through the line. Sometimes it depends on the voter themselves. We could take them through the exit door and right in to vote, and then right back out the exit door. Usually we have one voting booth that's off to the side, but we try to just hurry them through the process so that doesn't affect anyone else, but they will not be
Okay. So what if so we've got that covered. We know where voting is going to be. What time? What time is the voting going to happen? Is it the same time as normal, or
6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
No before, no after.
No before, no after.
What happens if somebody comes in at 8:01?
done.
If they're in line,
Mhm.
they are allowed.
Because I think wasn't there something last year? Somebody came in at and they tried to walk in at like 3 minutes after or something like that.
Too late. Sorry.
Typically,
Okay.
when the clock strikes 8 o'clock, we put a poll worker in line at that point. Anyone that gets in line after that person is no longer allowed to vote because it's after the 8 o'clock time frame. But if they are in line at 8 o'clock, they will be able to vote.
So if they're not able to vote, have you ever come into a situation like that where somebody's had a problem with it and
I have.
Right.
A few years back, I have.
So what happened?
He was very, very upset. And I just told him, I said, we have to abide by the state's laws. These are the rules.
Mhm.
If I were to allow you in and you were to go through the line and then you turn around and you tell somebody else you showed up at 3 minutes after 8 and was still allowed to vote, that's me. That's on my head. That's my job.
So let's caveat that into something else. So let's say I'm handicapped and I have to get into a wheelchair or assisted into a wheelchair, and I got there late and it's now 8:03. Are there special accommodations made for that, or is it pretty much too bad, so sad?
As far as
Unfortunately,
being
we've had some-
handicapped, we do have curbside voting. They can come to the backside and be escorted in or out. But as far as being time wise, it doesn't matter who you are. 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. And there are other ways to vote if they feel like their workday is going to extend far enough. They could do an absentee ballot. They could have done it earlier before work. There are a lot of other ways to vote other than just 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I understand it happens, but state statute, we are guided by the state statute. So 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock.
So Val, you are you the one that's in charge of the absentee ballots?
Yep, I
Okay.
am.
So how many usually go out a year? I mean, people have to request it, right?
Yeah,
Or
it
do
depends
you-
on what kind of election it is. Like last year, we had 1,700 because of the president. but,
Sure.
This year, it's 130, 135 or so.
And they have to request it. What do they have to call the town hall and
Call
say?
or go online and send it the application, and most of them come in, pick it up, the application, then we give them the ballot.
And do
And
they
if
just
we mail it to them, if they haven't come in, if they just sent the application, and then we just mail it.
do they mail it back?
Either they can mail it back or they can put it in the drop box in the front of the building.
Okay. And the absentee ballot is for somebody that's not going to be here,
Be here.
or they just can't make it, or
COVID, physical disability.
hangnails, anything,
Um,
any reason. I know I'm being facetious, but I mean it's pretty much, isn't it any reason that anybody wants an absentee ballot?
If they're
they could
working
have
at
one?
the polling place, they can get the
Okay.
absentee ballot. Another polling place. Like we had one that's working in Lisbon,
Mhm.
so she came in for an absentee ballot.
Got it.
And currently we are still under COVID requirements under state statute. There was an emergency declaration for voting. This will be the last election that includes COVID as a reason to file an absentee ballot at this point in time. Doesn't mean that won't change in the future, but any medical issue, any COVID issue is still allowed. They're still allowed currently to file an absentee ballot.
Okay. We've already covered the fact that you have to wear masks. What if somebody refuses to wear a mask?
As Jennifer said, they will be allowed to vote. There are other means of doing it, whether it be curbside or depending upon how the moderator at the polling location handles it, they could either be brought to another location, speeded through, whatever,
Okay.
as Jennifer said previously.
What about the poll workers themselves? What if they don't want to wear a mask? What if they, well, let's say you get a complaint from a voter. They said, well, they're not wearing a mask, or the mask is not over their nose, or
The
They
school,
have
what
been
happens?
instructed they must.
they're
what
in,
happens if
in
they
the
don't?
school.
Do they get removed, or
they're
That
in the
is something
school.
the moderator would handle, and I would think that she would make sure they are or ask them to leave.
They are required to be masked. It's in the school building, and they've been informed of that when they were hired to be a poll worker, that they had to wear a mask inside the school at all times. So that all of the poll workers will be masked.
okay? So we've talked a little bit about absentee ballots, where you can vote this year in the Griswold election, the time, if you are handicapped or whatever special accommodations, COVID accommodations that you may need. Now, if you're just joining us now, you can, after when this is posted, you can go back and listen to all the questions and answers of the voting registrars and the town clerk as well. So you're really not missing anything. You just be going from here on and then hitting the play button at the beginning. So it's going to be up there and it's going to be available to you, so you can get all the answers. And I want to make sure that we cover most everything.
There's
So-
a couple things that, if you don't mind.
Well, I still got I'm not
Okay.
done with it. I got questions yet.
All right, good.
So like, let's say I'm not registered.
Mhm.
There's a deadline, is there not, Jennifer?
They can still file if they are not currently listed on our list. They can do election day registration, which will be done at the town hall from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and become a registered voter and vote on the same day. If they're not currently registered in our town, say they just moved here, or they're a new resident to Connecticut, they haven't done it yet, they can do election day registration. They will be allowed to vote.
So why, Val? Why even have a registration deadline?
Well, that's up to the state. I mean, they set the dates on when you can last register and
Correct.
stuff. So
So I've really always kind of wondered about that. It's like, okay, there's a deadline here, but I can still go in the day
that same
of.
day, yep.
It's
So
just
we
a little bit more
had-
inconvenient.
Sorry.
What's that, Jennifer?
We had a deadline a week ago in order to
Right.
anyone
That's why I asked.
anyone who changed their voter status from the DMV, they notify the registrars. We add them to the list. What it does is it gives us a cutoff time in order to not make any more changes to that voter list. So that voter list will be maintained as of the last day that we made any changes, which was last week. The only changes that they will allow is an election day registration so that we don't disenfranchise any voter that wanted to vote, didn't know that they had to change. And it's really only for specific reasons. If you just moved to town, if you are not currently a registered voter. So it does just allow those people the opportunity to vote if they want to. The state and the country is very big on encouraging people to vote and not disenfranchising or turning anyone away. So that EDR, election day registration, is really only for specific cases, and it is used. It is used. I think last year we had 5 or 6 for the municipal election in 2019. So people do use it, and it is important to have it.
So the goal really is to get everybody to vote that wants to vote,
Absolutely.
regardless of status
Yeah.
or handicap or anything, which I think is great.
Mhm.
You know, and I don't know if there's any stone left unturned on this. It's like if I come in there and want to vote and I'm not registered and I just moved here from Kentucky,
Mhm.
you know, I can go ahead and vote in the municipal election. I think that's great. I don't think people really know that. I think a lot of people say, well, you know, I didn't register. Oh, geez, I can't do it. So then they just don't. They don't come to town hall and realize that they can register same day. Do you get stories like that? Have you heard people say that in the past?
We do. But also keep in mind, actually, a couple things. Today is called limited registration. If you've turned 18 since last week, if you become a citizen since last week, or you've moved to Griswold since last week, our cutoff date, you can come into the town hall today from 9 to 5 to register.
Now, was that also other things like, I hate to say it, but changing parties?
No,
Okay, you
No.
can't do that.
Nope.
This is strictly for new folks coming in within the last week,
Okay.
or someone turning 18 within the last week. The other thing I want to mention is Election Day registration, also known as EDR, will be held at the town hall. So do not go to the polling place and say, oh, I changed my address, I'm just moving to Griswold, because they're going to in turn send you to the town hall. I don't want to see people get inconvenienced, wait in that line, get up to the checker, and the checker say, you've got to go to the town hall.
but they will vote at the town hall once they file their EDR. They're not going to be asked to go back to the school to vote.
So what happens at, say, 6 p.m. and somebody wants to register to vote and town hall's closed?
No, they're not. I'm
Yeah,
going to
we're
be there.
open.
We're gonna be
You're going
there.
to remain open. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking that. I'm like, what happens then?
Nope.
There's that little window there. Man,
We're
you
going to
guys-
be there till 8 p.m.
We'll be there.
You guys got it all figured out.
Mhm.
I don't know if I have really anything else except for, I mean, I know the answer to this, but when will residents know who won the election?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night,
Mhm.
our head moderator, Glenn Norman, will make the announcement. I have spoken with Todd Babbitt. Normally, the announcement would be made right in our meeting room at the town hall. Due to the fact that we anticipate an awful lot of interest and not being able to keep the 6-foot social distancing, it may be announced outside as it was for the presidential.
Okay.
But that will be determined by Mr. Norman at the time when he sees the amount of folks coming for
What do we mean? A lot of interest. A heavy day at the polls, or is that?
I think
There
a
are-
lot of people are very inquisitive and they want to know right from the horse's mouth who won. They don't want to wait for that phone call.
Okay.
Not to mention, we have a lot of people on the ballot. The ballot is two-sided. There are a lot of candidates on that ballot, and they probably all will be there to see whether or not they won or did not win. So you're talking about at least 25 or 30 people to start with, not to mention poll workers and registrars and moderators and other people. So I'm thinking that there's going to be quite a bit of interest that evening to get the results, not to
Got it.
mention media as well.
Huh?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there
We know
annoying
you'll
you
be there.
guys. Yeah,
We know you'll be there.
I know. Like I pull up and people go, oh, "Crap, it's Menards."
Oh, Mike's here. Oh.
Oh, God. I don't really have any other questions, but Val, I just want to go right around the room, and just see if there's anything else that you want to add, Val.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows that absentee ballots are available until 4:00 today. They are not available tomorrow. The only time it will be available tomorrow is if it was an emergency ballot.
Cindy, any
On the emergency ballot?
No, just on
No.
anything that we didn't cover that maybe you want to add into the conversation.
As far as the emergency ballot, it has to be a medical emergency. It's not something where you can just say, oh, well, I got called into work today.
Right.
That's not going to work.
It's like
Yeah.
if you broke your leg or something like that.
It's very, very specific. If you got admitted into the hospital last night and they're not releasing you until Tuesday at midnight, whatever, that's an emergency.
See, these are things I probably never, and I've never thought of like that right there. If you happen to be in the hospital
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you can't make it, you haven't done an absentee ballot or whatever. So
At that point, a family member would get the application, bring it to the hospital, have you sign it, bring it back to Val. Val has to turn around and on the application, it actually has a spot in which you will designate who will be carrying your ballot for you
Yep.
and returning your ballot. It's a very complex system.
Jen, anything that you would like to add?
I guess
As a
I just
final
want to
thought?
highlight curbside voting, that if we have voters that are concerned about going into a public place, whether it's for COVID reasons or they're handicapped, curbside voting will be available. There will be two gentlemen in the parking lot. All they have to do is drive up, wave at them and say, I'd like to curbside vote, or I'm handicapped. They will be equipped with the information in order to have someone come out and deliver their ballot to them and take it back and have it tabulated. I do think it's important, especially for the number of elderly citizens that we have, that they know that it's safe, it's effective, and there's no issue with them coming and staying in their car to vote or going to the backside if they want to take their scooter or their wheelchair in. We will accommodate them and do the best we can to get them in and out as quickly as possible.
There's absolutely no reason that you can't vote.
Correct.
Correct. And the weather's going to be beautiful, so it'll be a great day to get out and vote.
I guess this is more of I don't even, it's not even a question you probably could answer, with stats or anything. Just knowing, what kind of voter turnout you've had in the past. Why does, and it's not just Griswold, but why do towns, especially in municipal elections, or what do you think the reason is that there's such a low voter turnout? There's usually it's compared to, you said there's close to 8,000 registered voters in the town.
Mhm.
Why are we struggling to get we're going to struggle to get 1,000 votes tomorrow? I'm thinking.
I hope not.
I
So-
think we'll have more. I think there's a lot more interest this time. I think both parties have been out campaigning more. I think Facebook has helped. I believe the bulletin has helped. I think they've publicized Griswold. Jewett City's on the map. Griswold's on the map. I think the citizens are actually listening to what's going on right now. I think we'll have a better turnout this year.
Okay.
And I do believe we'll have a higher turnout just because of the entire political landscape. And there are folks that want to make changes. They want their voices heard. And I do believe that they will turn out at the polls tomorrow. And we typically have about a 25% turnout in past years, in past municipal elections. So I'm hoping that we can exceed that. I do believe that every person has a voice, and no matter what it is, no matter what you believe in, you should get out and make your voice heard. Because there are others that are just like you that also want their voice heard, and collectively we can make change, one vote at a time. So I encourage people to vote. The reason people don't vote, I think, is because they don't have a vested interest in really what's happening. But I don't think that's the case this year. I think people truly have a vested interest in what's happening. And truthfully, politics is a grassroots, town by town issue. And if you're making change in your own community and the communities around you, you are going to be able to change your state legislature and who speaks for you. And to make bigger changes. So it really is all municipal. It starts at our level.
I think those are all very, very good answers. And
Yeah,
one
very valid.
more thing that I do want to say again is that if you're just tuning in now, you can always review this. It'll be posted immediately after we have concluded this interview. And you can go back and you can skip through it, do whatever you want, and find all the answers that you may have. Let's say somebody has a question today that we didn't think of or you didn't think of in order to cover. Can they reach out to the registrars and the town clerk if needed with questions?
Yep.
Most certainly.
Most certainly, when I get there.
Okay.
I will be there until 5.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And the number of the town hall is 860-376-7060.
Correct.
Correct.
And then just hit option 2 for town clerk.
Or extension 2100.
Okay. I just hit 2.
Or
Oh.
extension 2210 for the registrars.
Okay. So it's going to be there. The information is there. I think we got everything covered.
Sounds it.
All right. Jennifer, thank you very much for joining us from Hartford this morning.
Absolutely. I appreciate you doing this. I think it's important. The more information we have, knowledge is power. The more we can get it out there, the more people will be likely to vote. So I appreciate you doing this.
No problem, Val. Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
Cindy, we'll see you around.
I'll be around.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Ladies, thank you very much. Paul and I will be up in a little bit right here on SNSN.
Thank you for having us.